I thought Cena was talking about coming in and working with him. Like, I would rock it. I don't expect to see that, but hey, John, I saw John go out there when he worked with Brock and just put over Brock and never take any offense.
Let's get into the oh my God moment of the week. So, Theory, don't call me Austin Theory, is your new WWE United States champion. And so there's been a lot of buzz going on over the past week of Theory's been a young John Cena. So when you first saw John Cena in 2002, he had the coordinated a semi, tights and with the coordinated boots and real stiff and going out, it's real stiff, jacked up, ruthless aggression, hitting up Kurt Angle. It took him about 2 years or so, about a good year or two before he started going to the rapper gimmick, feuding with Eddie Guerrero, even Taker, Rikishi. And so, but for some odd reason, his freestyle and his promo work is what really got, and his work ethic, really. But from a television screen point, he wasn't always the best wrestler. He wasn't always at all in any of his career. But his promos were fire. His character was infectious. We'll start with you, Paige. Do you think this is a fair comparison to compare Theory with John Cena? And if it is, what is it going to take for Theory to cross that plane to main eventing?
Well, for starters, John Cena is a freaking icon, man. He carried that company on his back for over a decade. And like The Rock, he ain't completely gone. He's a top shelf A-list actor. It's in his own right now, killing it. When I saw him do the ESPYs, I thought, oh my God, he is so much better than even people think he is. Like, that's hard, especially coming in as a wrestler doing that ESPY deal he did. When I saw him, I was like, dude, wow, hats off, bro. Like, you're super talented. I think the way he came in with fire, man. He looked like the deal. And, I don't think, at being a worker who I think was pretty good, I think his work was pretty damn good. I don't think it was friggin' Eddie Guerrero, but, I think for a big man, I thought that guy carried and he worked his ass off. And his promos were off the charts. So from the rapper dude to John Cena. Austin Theory, that cat, if he can screw this up, because he's got it. He's got it, to me, with a capital IT. He's got the look, and he's got Cena's guns, and not many people got them. If you go head to head, I'm sure Cena's are more jacked. Maybe, I don't know. But both of those guys look great. And he's a handsome kid on top of that. And he's, I look at him as a young guy, and I look at MJF as a young dude who really gets it. Like, they get what they're doing. You can't have a bigger push. Now, there's been other guys that have had that push and didn't really understand, like, you still got to stay grounded.
Yeah.
That journey, especially in the back. Out there, you can be as cocky as you need to be. When I saw Austin stud him at Mania, I played back 5 times. It was cartoonish, but it was amazing. Austin and I laughed for 5 minutes over that when we started talking. Like that, and he said the same thing. Gets money, man. So that's what I think. And I think, could he rival in the icon dome of John. Well, there's a lot of time got to be put in before. It's kind of like when you see someone come in the NBA and they go, "Oh, the next Michael Jordan, or the next Kobe Bryant, or the next LeBron." Man, give that dude some years before you even muffle that. You know, Tom Brady, going to be a long time muffling the next Tom Brady. You know, so, when you got somebody, and that's what I think Cena, I got a ton of respect from his work to his everything. And what he's doing today up in Hollywood, he's killing it. Respect all the way around. And I think Theory, he got it.
Vince, do you agree with Paige? Do you see what Paige see, or is it not clicking with you?
Well, I want to ask you something, Chris. Where are the comparisons coming from mostly, do you think? Inside or the fans, or where are they coming from?
Both. There's talk just within the webs of comparisons between the two, and there's some there's some like sheets that are reporting it and things like that. So, I mean,
if you want to talk about the potential of being a top guy in the business in a couple of years, like, okay, I'll be open to that. Bro, Cena's a star, bro. Cena's not a top guy in wrestling. Cena is a bona fide star. And when you're going to compare somebody to that, kind of like Paige, bro, those are really big shoes to fill. Really big shoes to fill. So I would like to see himself, make a name for himself in the business first. Then we could talk about possible comparisons. But, man, bro, to make those right now, I just think they're way, way too premature, man.
Yeah, it seems like the infancy of John Cena, he looked a lot like him and Theory looked alike. Like 2002 John Cena, babyface John Cena, turned heel against Kidman John Cena that was still doing the coordinated boots and semis. A lot of comparisons with that, but even Cena has said, even with that gimmick, like he was like on the edge of getting canned. So he had to make he had to make a big turnaround. And Stephanie hearing him do freestyle, that caught, interest from her. He started doing freestyle, and that is what caused Cena to have that upward trajectory, not the infancy, ruthless aggression, decent match with Kurt Angle Cena. He was
when you look at Paige's career, very, very, very similar. It was the spot and the story that So, Paige, how important is that? I mean, that he gets put in the right spot. It's the right story, because that's what happened to you, bro. You're talking about once they put that around you, forget about it.
Yeah, I love where he's at right now, because, I mean, Vince is just, all over him, and you can tell when Vince loves somebody. So that's the first part of it, but it'll all come down to, what kind of angle he gets put in and who it is. Like when I saw that picture up of him and Cena, I thought Cena was talking about coming in and working with him. Like, I would rock it. I don't expect to see that, but hey, John, I saw him go out there when he worked with Brock and just put over Brock and never take any offense. I was blown away by that. Yeah. Cena's he's a company dude, man, and he's been treated really good, and he's earned that spot, but he's also turned around and done a lot of favors too.
Yeah.
So if you see that pop up, then because then you really see, because that cat can talk. And if he was going against MJF, I really want to see that because
Promo battle.
that'd be like, whoa, the stuff that MJF did with Punk, we've talked about it before. Man, that was magic, man. Both of them. Both of them. When you're with really good guys who can go. That's why I wanted that People's Champion versus People's Champion so bad. And I dropped the ball. I should have friggin' shook Vince's hand and said, awesome, man. Call me when you want to do People's Champion versus People's Champion. My mistake. Learned a big lesson from it. Because I would have loved to have the tit for tat, with The Rock.
Yeah.
Let's go rolling down memory lane, fellas. So this one is for the man. See that right there? Where I'm pointing to? This right here is the WCW. This is the big gold belt right here. The WCW World Heavyweight Champion. And those right there are the guns to pay the funds, ladies and gentlemen. Vince Russo. So we had another show. We talked about the polarization of Vince Russo. All right, this is another polarizing element of Vince Russo, and that is the moment that Vince Russo became WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Ric Flair, baby, Dusty Rhodes, baby, Sting, and the fourth person in the Mount Rushmore of WCW World Heavyweight Champions, Vince Russo. Did you get any heat from that, my man?
Did I what?
Did you get any heat for being WCW World Heavyweight Champion?
I got worse than heat. I almost got killed by Bill Goldberg. People fail to mention that, bro. Bro, listen. I am a storyteller. That's what I've always been, bro. And the story of Goldberg almost murdering me, but technically putting me out of the cage before Booker, to me, I'm sorry, bro. That's a great story. Bro, the very following show, I gave the belt up. I said I had nothing more to prove. I told everybody I could kick Booker's backside. Bro, I don't know if people just don't have a sense of humor. I don't know if people just don't like good storytelling. I thought that was a very good story. I thought it was a great finish to a match. Obviously, bro, the next night I gave the belt up because Vince Russo was not going to be champion. But, bro, it was all about that day, Chris, and Paige could tell you. Bro, it was all about the swerve. It was all about things happening that are not supposed to happen. That's what it was all about, because then all of a sudden you create, oh my God, what are they going to do now? How are they going to get out of this? What are they going to do next? So everything was all about keeping people at the edge of their seats, not knowing what we were going to do, not being able to call it 3 weeks in advance, and just tell good stories. But I never in my wildest imagination thought wrestling purists would take it like as serious as they did, bro. To the point that, bro, it doesn't get recognized in the record books. Like, Leo, all the other ones, like, come on, bro. It's television. I thought it was good television. I don't regret it. And I would do it again. And it was never meant for me to have a run as WCW champion.
If I'm not mistaken, Vince McMahon was the WWE champion and the ECW champion, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, Paige, you were there when your colleague and friend, Vince Russo, won the WCW championship. How was the backstage atmosphere with Vince Russo at the helm of the talent roster at that moment?
Well, let me ask you first, Vince, and I think it was Arquette was first, right? Arquette won before this, right?
Chris would know. Chris, who won first, me or Arquette?
Arquette won the triple cage, right?
Yeah, triple cage.
Yeah. Because Jared did the guitar shot, right?
Actually, yeah.
I swear. Yeah, I don't remember. I honestly.
I thought that Jared did the guitar shot on the top. Well, it was Thunder, right? Then he went on Thunder.
When Arquette went over, it was a SmackDown. I don't think it was a Nitro.
It was a tag match.
I think it was. Might have been a Nitro, but I don't remember.
I thought it was a Thunder that he won it.
It was a Thunder because of the building. I remember the building. Big show.
Arquette won it on Thunder, April 25th, 2000 in Syracuse. Vince, you won it on September 25th, 2000. So about 5 months later.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So knowing the story that Vince was telling that night, and we'd gone through that, and I tried to argue and change the minds, but I couldn't do that. And so I never forget telling Arquette, he goes, so what are we doing tonight? We're walking. And I said, they're going to put the world title on you. And he goes, and I said, no, I'm serious. And swear to God, he went, no, they can't. I go, that's what I said. You know, and he said, well, I can't do that. I go, here's your choice. You either do it or you don't do it. And if you don't do it, then you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
And he went, am I really going to be the world champion? I go, that's what I hear. He goes,
did I say?
And all the people who were really pissed off about that, the craziness that happened because of that, there's not one of those people, not one of them, who are wrestling fans who wouldn't have done the exact same thing. Correct. If they were lucky enough to be in that spot. And that people, the money that he made off that pay-per-view, which was like 10 grand, he wasn't doing it. He did it because he loved it. But he got a payoff. He gave that to Melanie Pillman.
Wow. I didn't know that, bro.
Yeah, and they put that documentary that he did, You Can't Kill David Arquette.
Oh, okay, wow.
And young Brian Pillman thanked him.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't know that.
That's who David Arquette really is. And when he did You Can't Kill, if anybody ain't seen You Can't Kill David Arquette, you got to see it. Because I thought he was crazy when he told me he was going to do that. And he asked me if I would help him, you know, like, and do something in the movie with him and do the Yoda thing. And we had fun with it. And when I saw his reaction over those, it was around the Mania time, I think he was wrestling in some show.
WCW, I think he was wrestling.
People loved him. They really loved him, and they appreciated him, especially coming back and trying to prove, like, hey, I'm really working at it. So storytelling at that moment, I knew it wasn't going to be like he wasn't doing a run. Did I think it was a good thing? Not myself personally, but bottom line, when it came down to it, he was doing it, and Vince was always trying to give something to somebody that they didn't see coming. And but Goldberg, we all know Goldberg lost his mind a couple times. But I want to tell anybody, if you haven't seen Evil, the Evil with that Hulk's Evil that they just had, I guess, last whatever night they played the last one. Mr. Russo's on that. He does a hell of a job. And what I love about Russo, no matter what, when he believes in something, he's going down with it or he's going up with it. He's not, he's not backing off. He's not doing this shit. Okay? This is why I did it, and I'm sticking to my guns. If you don't like it, no problem. I like it. That's why I did it. So,
yep.
That's it.
100%.
That's it.
Yeah. And Arquette wanting was to promote Ready to Rumble, right?
And that's what really makes it in our business.
Yeah.
Fiction.
Yeah.
Like when you're all 100% in and you go with that.
Bro, the best part, like, bro, like, again, people, to me, sometimes people just take wrestling way too seriously, because my favorite part of that story was, so Arquette wins the title in a tag match, pins Bischoff in a fluke. My favorite part of the story is when he realizes he's now the world heavyweight champion and doesn't want any part of it. To me, that's my bro. Who becomes the heavyweight champion and doesn't want any part of it? To me, that was the best part of the story, bro.
Yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, that was to promote. That was like in conjunction with Ready to Rumble, right?
Yeah,
right around the same time. Yeah.
And that's when momentum had shifted. If that came out 1 year earlier, it would have 2 years. Forget it. It would have, would have done maybe 80 million. It did like 5 million, which is nothing because that's what it cost to make. I want to say about that, but it was a lot of fun filming it. So it was good all the way around.
It was fun to watch it. I liked it. I liked the movie. It was funny. It was Jimmy King wasn't he wasn't the most buff guy, but hey, he was a trailer park guy, man, living a dream, and having a dream and being coached by people that, hey, it's not over yet. It's a good message, man. You know what I mean? So crown him and boosting his energy back, and I like it.
They called it the fat suit because when Canyon put it on, Oliver Platt did not like it being called the fat suit. And then when they did, remember when it was the 4-corner splash?
I remember that. Yep.
Kicked the shit out of him. Well, Canyon was there for the splash, and then they rolled him in. There was some serious boots on Mr. Oliver Platt. He was scared to death after that.
Very nice. All right, a couple minutes left. Let's land the plane real quick on a low blow. Just a quick thought. 20 years of Randy Orton. Wow. Just the legend killer, even back then, Randy News Network, RNN, back in 2002, and the legend killer, Viper. Now he's a part of the RK Bro. And he's, if I'm not mistaken, he's only, still young. He's still young cat, 40 years old, 41 years old. And so, 20 years in the business. Vince, do you wish you could have written for Randy Orton?
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, bro, Orton and Cena are the two guys I would have gave anything to be able to write for. But I really want Paige to explain because, he's an icon. Paige, how difficult is it to stay over for 20 years in the wrestling business? I mean, bro, that's unheard of, bro. That's ridiculous.
Well, the guys you have to look at didn't do it with all of this crazy TV, but the guys who did it were Flair, Hogan, Savage, Piper. Jake got 20, but close to it, but he didn't have that crazy part that Savage and those guys had.
Andre,
it's minutia, the amount of people who had that.
Yeah,
but they didn't have it over this last 20 years, where there's TV out there. And I've always thought, when people, Randy Orton stole your diamond cutter. It's first of all, he didn't remember it, but I called him and said, Randy, man, I would love for you to use it. And he was just out of the hospital. I didn't realize at the time, but he never remembered because he just got done with surgery. And I'm talking to him, and he sounded a little loopy, but I didn't put it together. He's always been my guy. I have always loved his look. His work is as good as anybody's ever. His timing, his promos. I mean, to me, just to be affiliated with him and a small part, which kind of big part, because, you know, it's a great finish. And he made it his own, you know, for his, you know, he added his own little nuances to it that made it his own. And it's so hard. It's so hard to be in that spot for 10 years. 10 years.
Yeah.
20. And I'll never forget meeting him at OVW, because they brought me down and I worked with Batista, me and Batista against Kane and Undertaker. And we were just getting out there to work together, and that's when me and Dave bonded big time. But Randy, I met him because, you know, Cowboy was a friend of mine, and he's like, take care of my boy, man. Randy was actually the first guy. Like, he had stiffed up something. I don't know if it was his shoulder or his hip or whatever, but he got down on the mat around the ring and started working with me. I go, Randy, the boys are going to bust your chops about this big time. He goes, I don't care. Is it going to help me? I go, yeah, it'll help you. And just working with him, and, you know, I just loved his journey. Bummed that I never got the opportunity to work with him. It's funny because leaving there and then starting to come back, there could have been a moment where I could have done something with him. And he actually said it to me one day, because I come up to him and said, Randy, don't you remember me calling? He's like, no, man, I don't remember that. He goes, but if you say it, I believe you. You know, when I called him and told him, you know, I would have loved for him to do it. And so either way it worked out, I was glad he did it. But at the end of the conversation, he started walking, he turned around, he goes, I know at some point I'm going to see you out there. And I said, I don't think so, bro. He goes, seriously? I go, I'd love to do it, but I don't see that coming. You know, and never did. And then when it came to Legend Killer, occasionally I would say, you know, Randy, Legend Killer, but you ain't killed me yet.
Final thought, Paige. Do you think that Orton could have been a horseman?
Oh, seriously. Randy could be anything he wanted to be. You know, he would have fit right in there in that Lex Luger spot, Barry spot. He could be, you know?
Yeah. Good call. Yeah. I think that Orton in that Barry Windham spot makes sense to me, for sure. Yeah.